Over the past summer, communities across the United States came together in protest as part of the Black Lives Matter movement following the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. Our MHK All Day special reporting team sat down with campus and community leaders to see how movements in the greater Manhattan area are planning to sustain long-term change.
During the summer months, thousands of community members gathered for several socially distanced protests in Manhattan's Triangle Park and other locations, all a part of the Black Lives Matter movement's local chapter, BLM MHK. K-State's Black Student Union Vice President Melina Alfaroff hopes the summer of unrest served as a wake-up call for people who weren't aware or ignored racism at the national and local level.
I mean, it definitely shifted kind of like a lot of people's opinions and views. And I think it's moving towards like a positive direction that people will be more engaged and more involved.
For some, it paved the way for conversations about racism and gave people the chance to connect with others who have common experiences.
It allowed people to see that they weren't the only ones who were feeling a certain kind of way about what's been going on.
In the months since the protests in Triangle Park, community members hope to see more than just demonstrations. They hope to see lasting changes.
It's not over. There's a lot of work to be done. And it's just a point of where do we start? Where do we go? Bottom line, it starts with your community. We can't just continue to protest. We need action.
So far, that's looked like hosting community-oriented initiatives like registering voters and organizing coat donation drives. But it's also inspired parks to get involved in local governance. She sits on the advisory board for Riley County Police and is an inaugural member of Manhattan's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee.
What we've been trying to do is to kind of get ourselves in positions to where we're at the table, where the conversations are happening, and that we're able to bring a voice to things that are actually affecting the African American community here.
In the future, BLM MHK hopes to address other problems facing people in the community beyond issues facing Black people.
Seeing how this struggle is not just ours allows us to kind of widen our scope of what we're looking at, not just what's happening to Black people, but what's happening to people here in our community, period. That's not okay.
In Manhattan, I'm Macy Burning for MHK All Day.
To get involved with BLM MHK, you can donate to the cause and visit facebook.com/BLMMHK or email blmmhks@gmail.com. Now, we'll go to our MHK All Day reporter, Bailey Short, for an interview with an intercultural teacher here at K-State.
Today we have Keisha Clark with us, who currently teaches intercultural competence in institutions here at Kansas State, to talk with us about Black Lives Matter movement, what progress has been made, and has technology been an influence. Thank you for being here today with us, Keisha.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem. So looking back at history, do you think progress is being made?
Looking back at history, I would say that we're still in a stage of being performative for most of our, there's still a lack of action and a ton of talk about what should be done.
Yeah, definitely. So we've seen a lot this past year. What do you think the future really looks like for the Black Lives Matter movement?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So we've seen a lot this past year with everything that happened this summer. What do you think the future looks like for the Black Lives Matter movement? Do you think it's going to continue to grow, be a positive impact, everything?
Yeah, I think that the Black Lives Matters movement will continue to grow. I think that it has been really a positive influence, not only when you're talking about factors like Black lives, but also the fact that we're shining a light on police brutality and the disparities in which that is executed on a variety of Black and Brown communities. I think prior to the movement, people were unaware of how disproportionately Black and Brown people were treated as a result of what was happening in society. It's never been a question within the communities, but outside of the communities, people, I think, were grossly unaware.
Yeah, definitely. So technology is huge right now, especially with the pandemic. Many people aren't really going out as much as they would. So a lot of the information they're getting is from social media, everything. sorts of things like that. So how do you think technology has had an influence on the movement, and do you think it's a positive influence?
I think technology is the main source as to why the movement was able to have such widespread influence, right? So people were seeing, first of all, the video of George Floyd was seen around the world, and that just the raw nature of what happened in that video and watching the brutality that occurred by at the hands of someone who is supposed to uphold the law was I think was a bit jarring for much of society. And the fact that people were able to see that, live stream it, and it traveled around the world. Like there's no way that it would have done that as quickly. Additionally, movements were created all around the world. So we had marches all around the world because of that. And people were able to bond and unite in ways that they haven't been able to. And it was easy to get the word out because of social media